thumbs up. Morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular Board of County Commissioners meeting for June 26, 2024. Again, welcome to those here in the room, those that may be watching online, or those that may be reviewing the recording at a later date. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Pastor Farthing up to provide an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for a beautiful day. We ask that you help us to make it a productive one that would honor you and serve the needs of the people of this county while this group meets to discuss the business of taking care of our citizens here. I ask your blessing on each and every member of our city management today. Give them wisdom, give them passion for their work and a servant's heart. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, Emily, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
All righty, we have a quorum. I'd accept a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. First items of business we have are those items on consent. I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The items on consent are approved. Elected officials, department head, staff reports. Rhonda, anything going on?
Not much. We've been kind of bored. Good morning, Commissioners. Rhonda Braun, Elbert County Clerk and Recorder. Just wanted to give you an update on, we had a little event yesterday. So the results of the 2024 primary, the unofficial results, can be accessed on the Elbert County website. There is a banner across the top, and just to be clear, those are unofficial. It'll be until we canvass. The canvassing deadline is 22 days after the election. Then they will be official. This morning, we're still counting some of the ballots that came in from our drop boxes, and we have several more to count. We have, at the moment, 8662 mail ballots accepted, and we had just under 100 in-person voters. We want to thank the town of Elizabeth for hosting a voter service center for us. Because this was not only a primary election, it was a special vacancy election for Congressional District 4. We had to have another voter service center. And congratulations to Greg Lopez, who will be filling that seat going forward. And it is unofficial results, but we have wide margins, so I think we're pretty good on that one. I want to congratulate Mike Buck in Commissioner District 1 and Byron McDaniel in Commissioner District 3 for our commissioner races, and our own Chris Richardson. Thank you for volunteering to go up to the House. Our election staff, Stephanie Ferris and I, ran this election along with a whole boatload of election judges that we appreciate. Elections are actually run by, the work is done by everyday citizens. We don't hire people. We have election judges that come in and do the work. And we had Tracy Ducharme, Brad Eit, Susan Schick, Chris Hernecke, Art Weber, Alan Krennick, I took that one off, Jim Hart, Valerie, I don't remember her last name, sorry, Lori Wasmond, Ruth Ann Stricker, Danny and Beth Wilcox, Mary Wells, Diana Edstrom, Candy Putch, Dee Pepper, Juan Gallegos, John Duffield, Bill Bloom, and Travis Johnson. As our election judges this time, we will probably have a bunch more in the next election. I want to especially thank the Republican Party. They provided a meal for the election judges, and that's always very much appreciated. They don't get a lot of thanks for their efforts from outside, so we very much appreciate that. I really want to give a big shout out to our IT team. They went above and beyond. We have Amber in there who does understand elections, and the other guys don't necessarily know what we do, and when we called, they made sure we were up and running and taken care of. They got us a camera, which I've been asking for a really long time, at the top of the stairs. So when we are there on Fridays and the building, the rest of the county is not open, I have a way to see who's coming in the door. That was fabulous. And there was a few things that we needed done, and they were right there. Monday morning we came in and our state computers for motor vehicle were completely down, and they showed up, helped out, and got those back running. So I just can't say enough. They have been very responsive, and they've taken really good care of us. I want to thank all the staff in our building too, because they got all the questions, whether they wanted them or not, about elections, and they got to direct everybody, and they were very gracious and very helpful. And also the town of Elizabeth and the Elizabeth Fire Station at Singing Hills for allowing us to put up a drop box there. That is very convenient for our citizens, and I didn't bring the numbers for the drop-offs this time, but generally we receive about a third of our total ballots at the Elizabeth drop box in Elizabeth, and everything went pretty smoothly. We didn't have very many in-person voters, so they were pretty steady, and it was a smooth election day as far as I know.
Questions or comments? No, good job by all. I noticed amongst your thank yous, I think you had somebody from the Secretary of State visiting you.
Yes, yeah, Secretary of
Was
State.
that at all helpful?
No.
Okay. That's what
Yeah,
what I
Secretary of
figured.
State sent an extra watcher for the day, and they let me know that they did not like who I associate with, so they sent an extra watcher for the day and an extra audit.
Look forward to their sharing the results.
They did not last time.
Thanks. Do we have any staff? Thank you. Coming up on deadline for audit.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Hermes, Finance Director. Just giving you a quick update on the audit. We are still working with Reuben Brown. The federal programs that they had to audit for the single audit were 4E foster care, Medicaid, and TANF. And they ended up having to pull in child support so they could have a full for all of their testing. So they're finishing up on that program. And then we're working through just some of the last questions that they have for us as our overall for the financial. And we plan to present to you all at the July 24th board meeting.
You don't anticipate any issues?
No, the only piece that we may have is a material finding in our single audit.
And I understand the reason. I meant timing-wise.
Time-wise, we should not have any issues.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
In the last year, we had an outside body that was helping you tidy up things for the audit, and they are no longer with us. Would you comment on who replaced them?
Yes, so we went with Michelle Schroet. She has her own consulting service now, Comanche Creek. She's been very helpful. The other departments have been able to work with her very easily this year as well. And she's definitely a huge asset to why we are on time again this year and being able to catch up from the last couple of years.
Okay, thank you. All righty, much appreciated.
Thank you.
Before we move to public comment, as has been our practice this year as we're celebrating our 150th anniversary. We've had staff kind of reviewing the minutes from meetings of 1874 just to kind of see what was going on. But a couple of things that came out from the minutes of late June, early July was there was several days spent in meetings as a Board of Equalization, kind of like we do meet periodically for property valuation considerations. Back in 1874, the county was actually assessing the value of livestock as well as property. So they were assessing cattle, horses, property, and sawmills. Cattle were assessed at between $20 and $21 per head. Horses were $40 per head, probably a little more expensive, but we didn't get license plate fees from them at that time. Land was assessed at about $3 an acre, and sawmills were between $1,000 and $4,000. The cattle one were interesting because there was a pretty wide array, and whether a steer was worth $20 or $21. There's not a lot of details, so I'm assuming it either had to do with whether you had a stream running through or the quality of your grazing land. And then we noted a bill that had been received in the case of the People versus Thomas Quinlan for an indictment of murder. The total of the bill for all the costs relating to the indictment, including attorney costs, was $31.10. And that led us to doing a little more research, and we found in the Rocky Mountain Daily News from July 19th, article about a shooting in Elbert County. And it starts that Tom Quinlan kills Ephraim Pedersen. A brother interferes and is made to retreat. Quinlan's act was justifiable homicide. So this, as the story kind of is laid out here, Mr. Quinlan was a logger, had several mules that he used to pull logs to the sawmill. His mules got loose, got into somebody's pasture and a grain field that belonged to Ephraim and Alfred Pedersen. They took the mules out of their grain field and put them in the barn. Quinlan sent his folks to go pick up his mules. The Pedersens wanted $100 for the damage to their crops. They went back and reported this to Quinlan. He went back with them that evening and just took the mules to ride back to wherever he was going to keep them. The Pedersens came after them with pistols drawn. There was an exchange of gunfire, and Ephraim Pedersen was killed. His brother continued to press the attack, thinking that Quinlan was out of ammunition. He wasn't. He fired a shot in the air. That guy retreated. And then Quinlan turned himself in and was later acquitted. But it begins by talking about Andrew Pedersen, a third brother that was killed in a shootout 2 years earlier near Bijou. So apparently the Pedersen family had some issues. But at the end, it was determined to be self-defense. And they don't say if the remaining brother was ever got any restitution for his damaged grain field. But anyway, so that was what was going on 150 years ago here in the county. But with that, we'll open this up for public comment and hear what's going on in the county at this time. So if there's anybody that would like to make public comment, Dawn, I think you've been here once or twice before, but if you could give your name and address for the record and keep your comments to about 3 minutes, we would appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioners. Don Gray, 16,000 Highway 86. I'm on the board of the ECEA. On June 12th, Excel Energy had a landowners meeting at the fairgrounds. We had 60 to 75 folks show up. Excel had 18 different people there, although only 3 of them actually spoke, maybe 4. It lasted a little over 2 hours. They started out the meeting stating that the proposed route is the route. There's nothing that could be said that's going to change that from the citizens' perspective anyway. They took questions, generally speaking, to why they chose this route. They wouldn't, I don't think it was very clear, but that's a personal opinion. They went around in circles about that. They ended the evening with the same comment that this proposed route is the route that's going to happen. They stated that they were confident they'd have county approval by the end of the year, which was interesting to me because they haven't even put an application in yet. They keep moving that date back. They started at the 1st of June, the middle of June. Now we're at the end of June, and we still have, I'm assuming we still haven't heard anything from them. I hope they're wrong, and I can count on the county to stand strong against the damages that they're doing or will be doing to Elbert County moving forward. We've been very outspoken as a group, but our time of running out as to what they're listening to, so it's going to be in planning and it's going to be in your guys' lap pretty quick. And we just, again, I hope that we stand strong and try to make it as difficult as we can for them to move forward with this proposed plan without justifying why they're doing what they're doing. Thank you for your time.
Just a question for you. You live along that route. As I drive back and forth home every day, it looks like there's a lot of activity with, it looks like soil testing rigs and survey stakes and all of those kind of things.
The survey stakes that are there are the proposed location for towers. They can only get on properties that people have allowed them to get on. Different citizens have signed an agreement that allows them to come on. Some of them have agreed to a survey and a soil test. Some of them have agreed to historical questions so that they can get their historical, the environmental people on there to walk the routes. Most of them have not. Another interesting fact that came out of the meeting was this segment, which is segment 5, which comes from Pueblo, all the way from Pueblo to Aurora. They have 25% of the people that have actually signed contracts. Within Elbert County, there's 2 that I'm aware of that have signed a contract. Now, they've given them permission to do a survey, but that doesn't mean anything is moving forward as the easement is for them to get the easement. All that is a survey and, to your point, soil test. But yes, along the highway that you're driving by, a lot of that's Malone's property. Malone has agreed to let them do the survey. I talked to their lawyers. They have not agreed to terms of what the easement would be. So he's one of the major players amongst this, but he has not signed on to it either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Do we have any other? Belinda, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. Belinda Seville, 36706 Pawnee Court, Elizabeth. I wanted to thank Commissioner Thayer, Commissioner Richardson. I'm not here very often, so I just want to thank you for your 8 years of service. You're coming into the home stretch, and I'm sure it's been a labor of love at times because you didn't sign up for some things. And Commissioner Richardson, congratulations. I had just heard that there was an opportunity to place the option for citizens to vote on term limits on all elected officials, excluding you all. Obviously, that would be a compromised position. And I just wanted to remind you all that in our county we have billboards all over that say, vote Republican, less government. And this is an opportunity for less government. I feel like whether you agree or disagree with term limits is immaterial. It's the opportunity to give the citizens, the Americans, to vote for what they prefer. And they can vote in terms of their conscience in regard to term limits. So I just wanted to publicly have it go on record, my position, that I do feel like it's as Republican commissioners, it's in good standing to stay with less government for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody else? Hello.
So, good morning, Commissioners, and I'm Michelle Ingersoll, 8445 County Road 122. So I just wanted to give you an update from a couple of weeks ago on the term limit proposal for the assessor, clerk, and recorder, the coroner, sheriff, surveyor, and treasurer, to be put on the November ballot. So 2 weeks ago, on our survey, we only had 86 responses. 2 weeks later, so today, we have 164, so it's almost doubled as the word gets out. With that, the results have stayed consistent with 69% have been Republican that have taken the survey, 24.1% have been independent. So as the survey numbers increase, so does the support to permit these departments to serve more than 2 terms. So it's up almost 5%. It has an average of 67.6% in favor of increasing the terms to 3 terms, and 8.38% are undecided. So if you take maybe half of the undecided, you're at a pretty good percentage rate. So more people have also stated or contacted or emailed saying that they would like to come to this meeting today in support of it, but unfortunately, or fortunately, they have to work. So the last time this was on the ballot was in 2017. The difference is 7 years ago, the ballot was for 2 specific people only. The other 6 times it's been on the ballot has been to eliminate term limits completely. That's seemed to be a little drastic. So this initiative is obtainable. It makes sense for both an efficient government and for the citizens to make a choice. So why would you want to do away with a capable, qualified person with a wealth of knowledge after just 8 years? That'll take somebody else another 8 years to learn if they have training. It'll probably take, without training, take more. So I know there's a time frame to get this on the ballot, and the question is, what are your steps in deciding if you will or if you will not approve this to be on the November ballot?
For me, I appreciate the more people taking the survey, and I would just encourage if you can keep that up and keep letting more and more people be aware of what the options are, I think is great. Part of our policy we passed a few years ago to put a initiative from the county onto the ballot included having a survey like this, but also being able to demonstrate that there's a group that's willing to go out and tell that story and kind of promote the idea. And so I guess I would just say keep at it, but if you can find that core group who's willing to really take the bull by the horns here and champion it, I think that would be the next step for me to see that we had some people who are really willing to invest time and effort into the procedure. And I guess that's where I would say I'm at.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Schroeder on that. The other, probably the next time we discuss I believe the way you had presented this, it was a question regarding, it would be 6 separate questions for each position. I think a little more discussion on that, because based on the logic of why these are all similar positions that have similar technical only, not policy-making decisions, the separate questions to me seem a little bit like a referendum on the individuals that may currently be in office. So I just also kind of like your group's thoughts on whether this should be separate questions for each office as presented, or should this be this is the logic for the non-commissioner positions, yes or no, one question. So that's kind of where I'm kind of wrestling with it in my head right now. But the timing, obviously, a November election with a campaign ahead of it. We've got some deadlines to actually finalize the ballot that I believe are in the August timeframe. So we have a little bit of time to muse over and make sure we've got it right. But then once we do make any decision to put something on the ballot, we kind of have to go radio silent, and there's nothing, obviously, no county or taxpayer resources that go into promoting it. So I think taking some time to shape what you're thinking, and making sure everybody's comfortable and understands in public sessions like this is very important. So, but I think getting a team together that can run a campaign, and there's a few people in the room that have understandings of how that works sitting near you. So I would just encourage you to kind of take that next step and keep reaching out and getting information from folks and what the citizens feel like going into this. And thank you, Belinda, for your comments. Don, just to confirm, no, we have not received an application or any further indication. I guess if they want to drop it just before the 4th of July weekend and burn up a day or two, that's, I guess, could happen. But nothing has changed in terms of the process going forward once the application is received. Statutorily, staff has 28 days to review for completeness, and then let Excel know whether this is a complete application that can be processed, which then starts a 90-day clock to a final decision, or there's additional information needed to deem it complete. I suspect with something this complex, there'll be additional information. Just from what you shared, we'll likely see some partial survey stuff, some partial soil sample stuff, some partial historic inventory stuff. So, and I'm sure there's lots of other stuff. So, so it's kind of an iterative process. But again, once the final application is deemed complete, then there's a 90-day clock to a hearing before the county commissioners. So we could, conceivably be a month out from that 90-day clock, or we could be a year out or more. I honestly don't know the way the pacing of this has worked. This has certainly turned into a marathon 2.5 years ago or so. And when this started, we thought we were looking down the barrel of an application almost immediately, and that certainly hasn't materialized. So, okay, appreciate that. With that, I'd close public comment. We have no discussion items today. Our first action item actually is just consideration of the minutes from our last meeting. So I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the June 12th, 2024 minutes as written and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to consider the June 12th minutes and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Next, we have a short public hearing on the special event liquor permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival. I'd accept a motion to open public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move we open a public hearing for a special event permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to open public hearing on the special event liquor permit. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Amanda.
Good morning. We received an application for a special event permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival. They are planning to hold their event on July 20th and the 21st at Casey Jones. Notice of the event was placed in the Ranchland News and on the property. There have been no changes to previous events, and no comments were received. Staff is recommending approval of the special event permit.
No questions.
Anybody here representing them? No, okay. So pretty straightforward. I would open at this point for public comment if there is any. It's a regular annual event, so. Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment, and I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the special event permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the liquor permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. I'd accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move we close the public hearing on the special event permit for the Elizabeth Celtic Festival.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, hearing is closed. Moving on to board planning. I know we did hear that we will be doing our audit presentation at the second meeting of July. I know from Public Works, I know we're going to be kicking off our paving project on Singing Hills, and Independence will be starting their project for the overlay repaving of County Road 158. If we could get just a quick overview of what's going on and timing on those projects, just for the next meeting, yeah. Okay, yeah, thank you. And then we will have a special meeting on the 1st. That is just to consider a liquor permit for Elbert Days. They were a little late getting their request in, so we couldn't fit it into a regular meeting, but we do want their event to go on as planned. I guess we'll have our minutes from this meeting, and that gets us started. So that's all we have for this morning. This afternoon we've got a few land use items, the Gerald rezone to small property rezone, Ridgewood Estates rezone. This was the very much scaled back project that was originally proposed in the town of Elizabeth as Elizabeth West. There's a assignment of a hearing date for, I believe, the last of the Spring Valley Metro districts, and then we're considering a few regulation updates. So that'll be here at 1 o'clock. But with that, we have no other business before us this morning, so it's 9:33 and we are in recess. Thank you for coming out.